All right, guys, welcome back. Before we start our question and answer time, I just want to give each of these guys about 30 seconds to tell you a little bit about who they are, kind of what they've done as far as playing and coaching in table tennis, and to maybe give you guys one tip of the day to start with. So we're going to start with our good friend Chance. Give him your undivided attention. What? All right, here you go.
Hey guys, I played for 7 years full-time in Germany, and before that I was playing for the Texas Wesleyan table tennis team down in Texas, obviously. We were 4-time national champion for collegiate. I started quite late, as some of you might know. I started at 12. I had very little coaching, and I just kind of worked on my serve a lot and played a lot of tournaments and practiced a lot with kind of low-level players at the club, and was just very dedicated to be able to rise through the ranks. Didn't necessarily have a lot of private coaching or anything like that.
Okay, hi guys. I'm Jiří, as you know probably, and I'm a Czech national team player, and I already won some youth medals on European Championships. I'm once European champion under 15 in teams and vice European champion under 21 in doubles. And when I was 18, I decided to make a big step in my career, and I moved to Germany for better practice conditions. So I moved to Saarbrücken. It's one of the best practice centers in Europe. And I got the opportunity to train there with such a player like Patrik Franziska, Darko Jorgic, or Shang Kun, or other world-class guys. And Chance also was there, so that's why we know each other well. It was a very nice time. And yes, currently I'm playing first Austrian League, and last year we won championships. So this year we want to go for next champion title. And should I give you an advice, what Samson also said? So each thing you learn, it's really important first to learn thing on such a training camp, but the more important is to take the thing and apply it in the future. So go for it in the future, and I wish you all the best.
Hey guys, my name is Jeff. I'm from Brazil. I was part of the Brazilian national team under 15, under 18. We were able to win back then was the Latin America Championship under 18. We won teams, I won mixed doubles. I was national champion cadet and silver medalist for men's singles. And I live in France for 6 months. And yeah, I was able to practice a little bit in Japan, China for a couple months as well, and Germany also. And yeah, and then for like one tip, I know everyone is different, but since the theme is tournament preparation, I know some players, they like to listen to music, some players like to focus. For me, when I was playing, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, I really liked to meditate before my matches, and I felt for me it was really important. I felt like I could focus, I could think about my opponents, my strengths and everything. So I think for me it was something that helped me a lot. So that's something I really like to do. And I hope you guys find yours and keep trying until you find what's working for you, and keep going so you guys can perform your best every tournament. Okay?
Hi, my name is Ethan Alexander. I am relatively new when it comes to playing table tennis. I've only played for about almost 2.5 years. I started playing because I've known Samson for about all of my life, but never really tried table tennis. Then I came to the club one day and started playing and started taking lessons from Samson. Learned very quickly, got to around 2,000 in a year, and kept practicing for about half a year after that. Played in EULA teams and won with a couple of friends of mine there in one of our divisions, played in US Open. And then about then I stopped training and started doing other things, but a lot of people tend to ask me how I was able to improve so quickly. First of all, I would just say it's a gift from God and that He has really blessed my life in that way. But secondly, a tip that I would give to any player is just that no matter how good you think you are or how much you think you know, always be willing to listen. Always know that even though maybe you are better than the person trying to help you, always be ready to take advice. Maybe their advice is wrong, maybe it's not, but always look to learn. I would say that that's the attitude that really helped me, was that no matter who it was, whoever was helping me, I was always hungry to learn. So always look to listen to a coach or maybe a practice partner, wherever you're playing with, look to just have a learning attitude.
Okay, my name is Seth Peck. I've been playing for I think 18, 19 years, so I don't know, to me that feels like quite a while. I've had the opportunity to play a lot of table tennis in Germany, in Sweden. I've been able to win 2 national titles as a Panamanian, because I'm half Panamanian, and played a lot of tournaments, and I've had many good wins, so it's been a lot of fun. And one tip that I would give is, if you're trying to learn something and if you're struggling with something, a lot of times it feels like you hit kind of like a wall where you're like, I can't figure this out. Usually just keep on working, trying new things, and the problems that you're having, every other player probably has had that problem in the past. So you can look online and see what they do to solve that problem, or you can go and ask someone and see if they have a solution that really works for you. So I don't know, it feels like very secluded. Sometimes it feels like you're the only one having this problem, but the truth is that we're all having the same issues. It's just some people are able to figure out how to get past that, if that makes sense. I don't know, I feel like it's pretty vague, but there's a lot of situations in table tennis that you come across that are tough. Yes.
Hello, my name is Scott Harris. I've been playing, actually, Samson and I entered our first tournaments at the same time. I was much older, but he and I were, so I don't know, 20 some years, we've been 28 years maybe. I've played a lot of clubs. I did a lot of travel for a while with my work, and I've been to a lot of different clubs across the U.S. I would say this club is the best in many different ways. Training for sure is one of them. And so as a player, and now I'm wanting to get into coaching more, because I have a lot of young kids in my area that I'm trying to get interested. I've coached my 2 kids early on. They're now older, and one of them does still play. She's at OSU, but I'm wanting to teach some younger kids, so that's on a coaching side. On a player side, I guess my main thing that I'm working with right now, and understand when other people have the same issue, but I have a lot of lower back issues. So how to mitigate that in the middle of a tournament, how to mitigate it at any point when you're training, that's one of those things that I've been really thinking and working on a lot. So if you have some sort of physical ailment, and you don't want to stop playing, you don't want to injure yourself more, you just got to find a way to still work it out and still keep playing. So that's kind of what I've been doing for a while now, just learning how to work with the body I have now. Being in the mid-50s, it's getting sometimes a little tougher, but in other ways it's pretty good too. I mean, Samson's stretching and things has really helped me a lot. I can tell that's definitely a factor. So proper stretching, warm up makes a big difference.
All right, so we have time for a few questions. Great job, guys. The first question was actually asked before the session, so I'm going to make sure we squeeze that question in first. The question goes like this. The person asked me, they said, so I have a hard time closing out close matches. I go in really wanting to win, and then I halfway feel bad for the opponent because they look so sad when they're starting to lose that I tend to tone it down in the 5th game and play a little bit lower level, and then I'm disappointed after the match because I let them sneak past me. So, coaches, what would you recommend in this situation?
So one of my students, which I think might have asked that possibly, is David Pecco. I'm constantly talking to him about this. The person on the other side of the table, whether it's a 6-year-old kid or a 60-year-old guy or a woman, or it really doesn't matter who it is on the other side of the table, their objective is to beat you. So they want to win against you. You should not feel bad about trying to win against them. Like, that is the goal. Like, if you're playing a tournament or a match, like, the goal of the match is to win. So, you can be as nice as you want and, practice all you want, but if you're going to play tournaments and you're going to compete, then your goal should be to win the match.
Good answer, gents. All right. The rule is you can ask anybody a question except for me, and you don't have to designate one. So if you want to ask a general question, that's good. Dennis, you're up next.
Thank you. I'll leave this open for the field. So I feel like when we start our table tennis development, there's a lot of focus on our own techniques, how we improve our stroke quality, how we can placement and whatnot. However, I often feel that when we're talking about tournament play, even this morning during practice, there were tactical situations that came up that had I actually only been focusing on my own stuff, I would have been blind to opponent positioning, ball placement, and I think this factors into how I warm up as well, because if I'm warming up only focusing on stroke quality, then I'm going into a match thinking I'm just gonna cream this ball every single time, and I won't even be looking at the other person. I do feel that as I'm getting higher and higher, and hopefully in my levels, that it's increasingly becoming less of an objective in how well I'm performing and more how much I'm able to pay attention to the opponent. So I do want to ask, kind of in terms of your own, is there a point at which you just have to trust your own stroke and instead you're almost preparing entirely to play tactically, or is there this balance, or am I trying to impose a false dichotomy in something that's actually much more fluid?
All right, who wants to answer? Seth.
I hope I have a good answer. So for me, I feel like I fall into the category where for most of my career, I was very focused on my strokes. I harbored this thought that if I just improve my stroke and my moving, everything would be fine. And no matter what they gave me, I would be able to get it. Just because I personally struggled with watching the opponent because I was so focused on my technique. And I've later now kind of started to focus a lot more on watching them and playing out maybe specific drills where it's more important to watch. So for example, the tangible example is forehand push. So I give it to their forehand, they can do a lot of things with this, right? They can inside out, they can push short, they can make a little top spin, and just kind of simulating these individual situations where you have to watch more. I think there's certain areas where you have to be more attentive, and there's other areas where it's pretty standard what they're going to do. And I feel like as a coach, I try to target watching the opponent earlier on, as opposed to what I did, which was focus on my technique for the whole time, and then now I have to kind of re-engineer the whole thing. With my students, I'm doing drills in the beginning that are watching, and hopefully later on it'll converge where they're doing technique and watching simultaneously. Does that help?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Seth. All right, who's got the next question? Yes, Adam.
Jeff, with your, let's call it unconventional style, how is it that you come to develop that sort of game and get so good at it when it seems like a lot of what we do here is more fundamental type of practice?
Okay, good.
Wait, so the question is,
You play weird. Why?
So you play a little bit unique. Why do you play unique, and kind of how did you develop that style?
I translated for you.
thank you.
And how do you practice your style?
I don't know if people here know, but okay. I don't know if people here know, but before I used to play penhold. So my coach back in Brazil, he's from Japan, he's Japanese, and we used to do a lot of drills like linked to penhold style, right? We would rely a lot on the forehand, a lot of footwork, movement, all type of stuff. But then later on, when I stopped playing, like I don't know, 5 years ago, then I decided to change to shakehand. So I think my game still kind of looks like penhold, maybe. That's why maybe it's weird. But yeah, but I think it's because like back in the day, we would do a lot of drills for forehands, like always setting up for forehand, right? So we do a lot of movement, a lot of footwork, a lot of like different types of drills. So, and I always like to play a little bit like far. So that also like I think make my game a little bit weird, like just translated. Yeah, that's how.
All right, we have time for 2 more questions. Okay, Rakesh first, and then Jason next.
One question I had was like when you watch like high-level players, you often see purposefully adjusting the speed of the ball during a lap rather than going full blast. Is it something that you consciously develop, or is it how do you practice it?
So how do you change the speed in the rally? Is that something that you can develop? How do these guys do it? All right, Chance, cook up something good for us.
I would say yes, it's something that you should, and most players that are good at that do consciously develop it. You can play a lot of, I would say, kind of simple drills, but are with the theme of changing speeds and changing distances. So maybe you play like one ball from quite close before the top of the bounce, one ball from a little bit further, maybe after the top of the bounce. Maybe you play one spin and one drive. Maybe you want to play a little bit more like forward and aggressive on the first one, and then a little bit slower spin on the second one. So just giving a lot of variations and changing the timing and the tempo of the ball is an extremely effective way to win points. You don't necessarily always have to play like blasting it full power to win points. So if you feel that that's something that you want to develop, or that might be easier for you to develop than like just playing full power, I would say yes, like that is definitely a viable way to play. I would say that I play a little bit that way. Like I don't have as much power as say like Yuri or Seth, but I tend to like mess with the ball a little bit more and play a little bit more control and spin and a little bit more off pace. So it's very effective if you develop drills around that. Yes.
And that was one of the main themes that we worked on last week, was stroke variations and being able to change gears. We talked about the fact of basic strokes are important, but one of the elements of basic strokes is that you be able to smoothly change gears between different speeds. If you can't change location, if you can't link your shots together, and you can't hit slow, medium, and fast with a similar technique, then your technique isn't good. And I talked last week that I have dozens of people online that send me videos of them doing one stroke 50 times in a row, and they say, is my stroke good? It's kind of like, well, it looks pretty, but if you can't change speeds and you can't adjust, it's really not a good stroke. The theme for this week is adjusting based on the opponent so that you can be consistent even when the opponent is throwing different shots at you. But it was a great question, and that was definitely one of the main things from last week. Welcome, Laura. Glad you made it. All right, final question before we get started is Jason. Go for it. Yeah.
Everyone always tells me the exact same thing, which is like when they play people, especially like long hips and anti-smash workers, they call it weird and they just kind of give up. I guess for me, like I also struggle a lot with like those bigger styles, especially being like under 2,000. So I was wondering, like when you're like I guess under 2,000, you have to play against like unorthodox people who have like different ways of getting around things than like the normal way or like the more like streamlined way. Is there any like good tips to like handle it? Because I feel like a lot of my team members and I end up playing very passively because we're trying to play it safe.
Yep.
But we end up just playing the their game and just end up losing. Even by the time like we even figure out the game, we usually end up losing by that. We're down by so much.
Good question. All right, who wants to answer the final question of the day? Ethan wants to answer. Great. Just talk into the mic and really loud.
I would definitely say that for those styles, I agree playing them a lot under 2000 was really weird. But something that I learned through it was that the more spin you generate, first of all, of course, that's going to give you more control, and then also better placement to move them around. With those types of styles, usually when they're under 2000, they don't do the greatest job of moving around and really getting really high quality shots. They mainly score points off of those weird balls. So if you focus on developing strong spin and then controlling placement with it, that usually helps them mess up and make them more afraid of you than you are of them.
Because as you label it, it's like weird. A lot of people don't like to play against those players. The biggest thing that you can do to help yourself against those players is to play against them as often as possible. Like, gain the experience. You don't like playing long pips? Great. Find the long pips player at your club and play them as often as possible so that you can get the experience against those players.
Excellent.